Welcome back to Hey Kentucky. We are now happy to be joined by one of the Republican candidates for Attorney General, Wil Schroder. He is running in a highly contested race that might be the closest on the Republican side of the ticket. Wil, how are you, sir?
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Let's get started with this. What made you decide to run for Attorney General? And for people who know nothing about this, because a lot of people don't follow these races, what do they need to know about you?
Yeah, so I decided to run for this race when my friend Whitney Westerfield decided to get out. He decided timing wasn't right for him and his family. And with that, I thought it was important that Kentucky Republicans have a choice. I'm the only one in this race that's actually been a prosecutor. So I've been in the courtroom with law enforcement. And that's important because as Kentucky's chief law enforcement officer, and you're the top prosecutor as Attorney General. So it only makes sense that you would have someone that's formerly been a prosecutor. I'm also the only one that has the conservative credentials. I've been in the Senate since 2015, so I have a track record of standing up for conservative values. I don't just talk about it, I actually can point to it.
You're running against Daniel Cameron, who many people know is kind of Mitch McConnell's hand-picked candidate. What has that been like in terms of, this has been a nasty race. They've accused you of many things, including being a Democrat.
Yeah.
What has that been like, and do you think those criticisms have been fair?
Well, so back up, before I got in the race, when I talked to people, they said, hey, this is what you're facing. You're facing Mitch's guy. He's going to have all the money in the world. He's going to have an outside super PAC come in, a special interest PAC, and those things have happened, but we're still neck and neck because he really doesn't have a message. I have the message. I'm the only one that's been a prosecutor. I have the conservative credentials, and he doesn't have any of that. So, but it has been difficult. They've out-fundraised us. But again, message over money, and I think we have a message here.
The current Attorney General is Andy Beshear. Throughout the course of Matt Bevin's governorship, he has sued Bevin where he has thought Bevin has been incorrect or exceeded his powers. He has won almost all of those lawsuits. If you were the Attorney General, would you have filed those lawsuits?
So what I tell people, whether it's a Republican or Democrat governor, I'm going to use, my compass is going to be the Kentucky Constitution and the law. I'm going to be looking at those things to make decisions. I would push back on you. I would argue that Andy Beshear, a lot of his decision making is what's popular for Andy Beshear, what is going to be politically.
And that may be true, but he's won them, which means at least according to judges, he is, he's 9-2, I think, in
just
these.
Recently he took a loss, right?
I understand, but he's 9-2, so at least in the 9 where he's won, legally, he has been correct with the Constitution. So would you have filed those 9?
No, you have to look at the Constitution, what it says, but I think his decisions were based on what he thought was the politically correct thing for him to do. I think with Andy Beshear, it's been clear from day one, he's had his eye on the governorship, and that's his decision making.
Well, let me ask you about the governor of your own party. He's been very controversial. Some people worry that if you pick someone who's in the same party, that they'll let the governor do whatever. Has there been anything that the governor's done that you would have potentially challenged if you were the AG?
Well, I'd have to go back and look. I looked at it from a legislative perspective. My compass is going to be whether they're a Democrat or Republican governor. What does the Constitution say? What does the law say?
You had some ads that have run. One was kind of controversial. It had you firing a gun, and that was very close to a picture that had been of Cameron. Do you regret that ad, and what were you trying to convey?
Well, we're trying to convey that Daniel Cameron is taking cheap shots at me. He's still taking cheap shots at me. His super PAC is taking cheap shots at me. Memorable ad, that's one of the top goals in advertising, right? Have people talk about it, have it be memorable. I think it's fair. I think it's political correctness run amok, anyone saying otherwise. I shoot a shotgun at a TV, clearly not shooting at a person. If you look at the TV, it's actually me on there from his ad. So I think really anything to insinuate otherwise is ridiculous.
Whoever wins this would end up facing Greg Stumbo, the Democrat, in November. I sort of wonder after this, you have really been beaten up in a way. Mitch McConnell always says Republicans shouldn't go after Republicans, but they've done that to you. Do you think it's been fair?
Well, I don't, because what they've attacked me on is my conservative credentials, and they've tried to paint me as, something else. But I have been in the Senate since 2015, 100% pro-life voting record, sponsored, co-sponsored legislation that was priority for the NRA. I have the record. Daniel Cameron didn't have anything. He wasn't a prosecutor, didn't have conservative credentials. So they said, what can we do? How can we win this race? And they just went after me and trying to bring my name ID down. So we got to get the message out. We got to set the record straight. And I think that ad helped.
All right, so Tuesday is the election. You feel good about it?
I do.
Well, I wish you the best. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we invited Daniel Cameron to come on. He and his staff declined.